Hello everyone, welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about the old layoff thing. We're going to be reacting. I haven't done a react video in a while. I know people are like, oh, react video is so bad, so bad. Why are you doing that? That's not making. Listen, I'm doing it. All right, we're going to react to a video from Bellular talking about the Discord, the Twitch, and all the other layoffs in the industry. I haven't watched this yet, but I've seen it pop up many times. Some people posted in my community. So we're going to do a quick react video. I don't know how quick it is. This is, well, it's 15 minutes. It shouldn't be that long. We'll do a react video to this Bellular news here stuff. But first, we're going to talk about my sponsor. This video is sponsored by my coffee members. Go to coffee.com/Buona, where you can support me and you can sponsor content such as this video. This particular video is sponsored by Lincolns. Lincolns is a long time supporter. He's one of my oldest Twitch subscribers. When I first got my button, he was there and subscribed. He's been with the community a long time. And thank you so much, Lincoln, for being such a dedicated and longtime supporter of the stream, and this video is sponsored by you. Okay, so yeah, a lot of layoffs have been going on in the industry, and there's a bunch of theories and stuff. So here is Bellular's take on the stuff.
Welcome back. Today we've got to talk about, honestly, a pretty spooky thing that's getting worse. So as you know, right, there's massive companies that are upstream of so much of what we do, and the situation is, they're in bloody dire straits. Twitch has kicked off a massive layoff wave. Unity.
I put up a tweet the day it happened. I said Twitch is in financial crisis. Those are my exact words. They're in financial crisis, and I stand by that. They're in trouble.
Another massive layoff wave. Discord. Yeah, Discord. Just before I sat down to record today's video intro, they announced 170 layoffs. Discord and Twitch, by the way, aren't profitable.
True.
So, guys, this
is a point that everybody makes and I'm making, and that needs to be thrusted to the forefront. These companies are not profitable. When you're not profitable in any situation, you're in trouble. I mean, unless you're just starting and you got your VC funds and you're in your incubation process and you're trying to get it grown. But Twitch has been around for many years. So is Discord. Still not profitable. Not good. Not good at all.
Really kind of dire. And unlike in years past where layoffs would happen in this environment of low interest rates and all this pandemic-driven digital growth, where of course employees could maybe move to another company or perhaps start their own company because finance was out there. Well, we're not in that situation. Fortunes are not so bright. 500 layoffs within gaming, right? And the top 5 were Unity, ByteDance, Embracer Group, Epic Games, and Amazon.
ByteDance.
And there was really nothing good about any of this. In so many cases, right, this was staff who were confidently given roles. The problem is, those roles were based on predictions of future revenue, right? And there's the problem. A lot of that was big, pumped-up, pandemic-era investment that obviously was a bubble. And that bubble has somewhat popped, and that has hurt a lot of people. Now, the claim that we keep on hearing is the layoffs are necessary. They're required.
ByteDance is a Chinese internet technology company headquartered in Beijing. Okay. I didn't know who ByteDance was, so I had to look it up.
To shore up company finances and to not have problems later on. And in many cases, I actually do think that's true. The problem is they grew irresponsibly. And all of this is why 2020...
Yes, well said. They grew irresponsibly. I agree with that. Because one of my theories is that if a company has any type of layoffs, I don't care what size it is. It could be small, it could be large, it could be medium. It's usually a mistake. It was something that somebody, usually at the top, almost always at the top, made a mistake. And the layoff is a correction of the mistake. That's why they call it right sizing instead of downsizing, because they're correcting the mistake. Downsizing sounds too negative for shareholders. So they say right sizing because we're going to make it right. It's a mistake. So I think the irresponsible hiring that took place during the pandemic years are still being corrected. Now, how many more corrections are going to happen? That's going to be the question, I think.
Has started with the number 5 contender, Amazon, laying off a further 35%.
That's a lot, man.
Of their staff at Twitch. Yeah, 35%. I mean, oh my God, that is absolutely brutal. Then next, the number one winner of 2023, Unity, is laying off a quarter of their staff. A quarter. Remember, they were already
a quarter
#1 for the most layoffs, and now another quarter are gone. It's kind of crazy. Unfortunately,
that company,
it's not just those two companies, though.
you guys don't know what happened to Unity. They changed their licensing agreement a few months ago, and it was TLDR. It was laughable. It was laughable. They had verbiage in there that would charge you for using their engine per install. Per install of your game, you had to pay. And this was a former EA executive that you may have known. That was kind of, he was kind of blamed for it, and he's since gone. But the damage has been done. People were leaving Unity in droves just when this thing was announced, and I think they're still recovering from that. On top of pandemic stuff, on top of bad economy. On top of all of that.
Ironworks, an Embracer Group studio, it is also losing staff, as is a VR studio. Another fascinating thing that's happening, though, is there's actually finally some changes in the Unity board. People are leaving, and to be honest with you, while it's a little bit conspiratorial, I almost think it's good, the people who are leaving the board. More on that later. Let's talk about Twitch first. I'm going to stop in with the CEO, Dan Clancy, who has announced they're laying off more staff.
Right.
Now, in March of 2023, Twitch laid off 400 people. They then laid off more people in October, and that was following a few different moves in their business.
I didn't talk about the October layoff in my last video. I talked about the 400 from 9 months ago. I didn't mention the October one.
The Korean market. Basically, their margins were narrowing. I believe there's other streaming providers in Korea and just a few other things. So they got out of Korea, and now they're laying off 500 staff. Now remember, whenever I say that they're laying off 35%, that is 35% of what they have now post all of the other layoffs.
Yep.
So certainly you've got to think about the company Twitter, X, as I suppose they now want us to call it, where it had, 10,000, 8,000, 7,000 developers? Or not developers, but, staff. And I think anybody with a working brain just would think, what? You need nearly 10,000 people to do Twitter, which does seem a little bit insane. Now, Twitter was cut to the bone.
Seems a lot bit insane. And given that they've already laid off 400, they had another layoff in October. I don't think he gave the number. And then they laid off another 500, which was a third. So you can safely assume that they were north of 2,000 employees at Twitch. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. I'm not even going to say for what Twitch does, but that is a lot of people for a company that is in this industry of just live streaming video games and occasional just chatting.
Under its new management, right? And when you think about that, actually, Twitter was almost certainly, in the industry, it was regarded as being a very fat company with extremely low productivity. And a lot of executives, a lot of boards have kind of looked at that.
That's subjective.
Hang on a second. Yes, they got bad PR, blah, 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 blah. But Twitter hasn't fallen over. Now, if Twitter was still able to hold on to its advertisers, hi Bob and etc., if it was still able to hold on to its advertisers with those significantly reduced employee, headcount costs, you could maybe see Twitter actually being in a state of profitability. Thing is, though, they did lose loads of their revenue and managed to take a great many losses. So I think that side, no boards will be learning lessons there, but they will be looking at the fundamental of, it was cut to the bone, the core service is still there, and at least, it's probably bigger than Threads or Blue Sky or whatever. And we're just seeing this across the industry. So then,
true.
Allegedly,
I agree.
Twitch will be operating their global business.
I agree. Twitter is leaner now. It is somewhat operational. And I think people have goldfish memory when it comes to Twitter. They have goldfish memory. And they don't remember all the nonsense that went on there prior to the acquisition by the Musk. They don't remember that. People just casually forget that, and they want to focus on all the issues that are happening now and saying, you did this, when Twitter was a hot, bloated mess before that, which was getting worse and worse each day to the point to where it was my only social media, and I didn't want to use it anymore. Now I use it every day. So it's gotten better for me. My feeds are better. My experience is better. And I don't know. It's It's working for me, but not for everybody, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But yeah, people got goldfish memory. Twitter was really bad before this stuff, and it's not perfect now, but it was bad before too. So yeah.
Less than 1,000 staff. And the reason why is pretty simple. Here's just the quote from Dan. Unfortunately, despite these efforts, it's become clear our organization is still meaningfully larger than it needs to be given the size of our business.
Oh yeah.
Last year, we paid out over $1 billion to streamers.
Why do you say that?
For the streamers. The core point there, though, is...
Why would you say last year we paid $1 billion to streamers if you're too big for the two sentences? I don't see the cohesion between we're too big for a business our size and we paid out $1 billion. Is he saying that we paid out $1 billion and that's not enough to justify the amount of people? Is that a corollary statement to back up the previous? I might have to watch the Dan Clancy interview. I haven't watched it yet. So
the basic unit economics do not add up. Now, there's lots of different types of businesses, right? As an example, the business that we run here between the game studio and, this, right, YouTube, it's a bootstrapped, cash flow generating business that's not taking on like equity investment or anything like that. So whenever I'm trying to grow the company, it's literally, how can I sustainably make the line go up so that I can put more of that money into higher wages for our team or maybe into doing some cool new things? And that's it. What I'm able to do is so directly tied to our cash flow. However, when you turn into a big sort of growth kind of company, it moves away from that. And then it moves into bets being placed, bets on future growth. And what happened during the pandemic is everybody flocked online. As an example, if you look purely at sales, you would think that Shadowlands is the best expansion that World of Warcraft ever had because it was the fastest selling one. Of course, World of Warcraft is an MMORPG and Shadowlands launched in the pandemic. So even though it had these massive sales, the game actually went into a deeply unhealthy state very rapidly after its launch. If you were to make bets based on looking at Shadowlands and thinking, line go up, you would be sorely disappointed. And that has happened across industries. Now, of course...
That's true. It has happened across a lot of industries. And a lot of games, live service games are probably what he's referring to here. These are the games that really profit from user influx. Not only they could be free to play, but when they get a big user influx, a lot of the games they see massive growth in their revenue streams because they've got a much bigger pool of potential customers, which can buy skins, which can buy battle passes, and all the stuff that live service games seem to enjoy, but I loathe. I get so tired of them. And I'm that's another video. I'm just fatigued of live service games. But MMORPGs is like one of the OGs of live service games. And they saw a big, massive influx of players. I think every MMO at some point did. And even going back to what he was saying about Discord saw a ton of people. During the pandemic, everybody was connecting with each other. The news was talking about Zoom, but a lot of people were going, hey, you could do the same thing on Discord and more without paying a dime. And, Zoom had these free plans, and then they had there's limited plans with what they did with the paid stuff, and, limitations were overcome by paying, but you could do it all in Discord. So Discord saw a lot of people just wanting to talk to mom and pop and grandma, on a gaming social, forum collaboration suite thing, which was, kind of out of the ordinary, really.
Of course, what that's meant for Twitch is they're trying to do more obtrusive things to earn revenue. More advertisements are played. There's the whole streamer bounty system that we've talked about ad nauseum last year. And fundamentally, they have a problem where if you're a really big streamer, right, you can do a deal that is, say, worth 100 grand to promote a game. And I know those are eye-watering numbers, but that's what the really big streamers can do. Twitch makes none of that. If it was 70-30, Twitch would make 30 grand. That would be a decently meaningful amount of money to them. So overall, they haven't been able to...
I want to clarify that because he's talking about the bounty system. If I'm not mistaken, Twitch takes a cut of that. So if they got a 100K deal on the bounty system, Twitch already got their money. However, if the streamer were to go outside of Twitch and get a deal like that, Twitch sees nothing. I think that's what Bellular is talking about there.
Raise their monetization as they would like. The company literally has bad unit economics, and clearly, rather than weather that storm, Amazon just don't want to continue hemorrhaging money. To manage this, then, Dan Clancy is doing a stream. Overall, basically, it's a spooky situation. If you're viewing Twitch, look, I don't think anything's really going to, like, go anywhere soon. I think what will be a challenge here, though, is the continued feature development of Twitch. Maybe if they're choosing to get rid of some of those more highly paid engineers. And then, of course, if you are a streamer, well, I imagine Twitch support staff are not going to be having a great time right now. So overall, that is that story. Next, though, we've got to go into the situation with Unity. As if all of their layoffs was not enough, they have
freaking Unity, man.
New wave of layoffs as a company reset, and 1,800 people are being let go. And per the reporting that Reuters has done, this is not the end, because a spokesperson actually confirmed to them that no, there's going to be further changes in the future. So again, I mean, if you're working,
they just dropped a quarter, and there's going to be more
situation. What's notable though is
wow,
a bit of a statement they've made. I'll just read it out for you. We are reducing the number of things we do in order to focus on our core business and drive our long-term success and profitability. I think that is basically a statement.
But here's the thing about Unity. They were in trouble before they did their snafu. So that was kind of the motivation behind altering their user agreement, where people would have to, basically pay Unity for number of installs, or, certain size companies would pay for certain amounts of installs based on the activity. So they wouldn't necessarily, this is what I remember from the agreement, the smaller companies wouldn't be affected as much as the bigger companies when it came to this new change that Unity was going to do. And you got to remember, some of the bigger Unity games are cash cows. Genshin Impact, one of the biggest money printers right now. I think Unity was going to make their entire year just based off of what they would get from Genshin, from the Unity licensing and the updates. So they were in trouble before they made that change. So the EA CEO who came in there, the EA guy who became CEO, he was trying to turn all that around. So that was the motivation behind all that. So it didn't work. They had to revert, and now they're in a position where they have to do something, and they're calling it a company reset, which is... That doesn't sound very good. That's like we're gonna fire everybody and start all over again. That doesn't sound good at all.
Many of us would find to be agreeable. I want to talk a little bit about what many would sort of loosely call enshittification. You know, the way you get a tool and you like the tool, and then the company making the tool to increase their monetization just starts putting more bells and whistles on it. And as the tool technically does more things, its core use case, like the reason why you actually like using it, just gets worse because it was deeply enshittified. As an example, I would say the Windows operating system, as you move from like Windows 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, a lot of enshittification happened, and Windows 10 was
use a better word than
Microsoft trying to reduce the enshittification that they.
It's not even a good word, Bellular.
Now with Unity, they basically
trying to make a joke, and it's not even good.
Architectural visualization, virtual production, all of the other things that a game engine actually could be useful for in various industries. For Unity, that would always be kind of hard because Epic with Unreal Engine, they're just the default when it comes to virtual production. And when I say virtual production, just think of green screens in films, but instead of green screens, it's way more advanced and cool and super modern. It's basically how Mandalorian and the Netflix show 1899 plus many others have been filmed. So Epic's there. It seems that Unity just really did not get penetration into that market. So basically, they're getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff so that they can refocus on being a game engine company, which is something that I would agree with. The thing here that's a challenge is, based on their old plan, many people had jobs, and based on their new plan, which I think most people within games probably basically agree with, or, okay, not necessarily agree with, but if you're a game developer, do you want Unity to be a game engine company, or do you want it to be a game engine company that actually does many other things with the goal of game engine stuff, video games basically being a side piece? compared to the more profitable industry.
It's a good question.
Enterprise
Actually, a good question.
I mean, you would prefer that Unity, the game engine, is focused on being a game engine, but that old plan led to a massively bloated company that is now being cut to pieces, and this is basically just how, well, morons, I suppose, make stupid decisions in boardrooms. I mean, I don't know. It just seems insane. Now, this isn't like what we've seen from the company.
It is a mistake.
Of course, we recently covered the story with Weta Digital.
Obviously,
there, of course, so Weta, they're that VFX group in New Zealand. Of course, you'll know them from things like Lord of the Rings. Basically, the people doing the work, they are still Weta. They're still there, right? And they're owned by Peter Jackson.
But yeah, the young Will Smith in that movie. I remember that.
The tools, they got acquired by Unity, with there then being an agreement that, of course, Weta continues using those tools. And now Unity basically has retained all those tools and killed the bit of Weta that they purchased for like 1-point-something billion. So that's awesome. As we go on, then, these are basically just, rather than being specific, these are vast and sweeping, affecting all teams, regions, and areas of the business. Now, if you care about Unity just as a games engine, this is still a concern.
That's big, man.
Because the game engine business
gonna affect all teams. Company reset. They're gonna be down to like a few hundred people by the end of it.
Getting smaller. Again, you could hope that
so if you
some goddamn mission focus from this company would mean that they're more like efficient at doing the game engine bit. Now, there is another side to this, and this is one that I think is actually good news. So, a SEC filing was made, and this is detailing another set of personnel changes, in this case, the board. So, 6 founders of ironSource, are leaving their roles in Unity over the next 6 months. One is leaving his role internally, but remaining on the board of directors. Now, you probably see that and think, Michael, what the hell are you on about? Who's ironSource? ironSource were an app monetization company that merged with Unity. And a lot of people started to sleuth about. And essentially, was it like the VC company or whatever, the holding company, the people who owned ironSource, a bunch of them kind of ended up on the board of Unity. And a lot of people were kind of suspicious about all of this. And, well, you could maybe see with Unity going away from being an everything company to trying to be a game engine company and a bunch of ironSource people seemingly leaving. I mean, maybe that is a good thing. As they say, shit flows downstream, so changes in the board.
Either way, Unity's just getting good at it.
Of course, that's not going to be much comfort to the staff who are being impacted by these layoffs.
I hope
that's really it for the video.
They land somewhere else.
Honestly, I mean, this is.
You didn't talk much about Discord, though.
Hope you found this to be interesting.
I was hoping he'd say more about Discord, but I think it came late in his analysis. But I care more about Discord than I do Unity because that's where my community is basically headquartered. And Discord currently doesn't have, they're not profitable, but they do have a business model that can bring in profit. The Nitro partnerships and the other monetization around Nitro, like their little store and stuff. When I first joined Discord, when I had meetings with them and I was looking for something, this is way, way back before anybody knew who they were. They were telling me about that. They were saying that this is back when I was an actual Discord partner. This is their future because I was curious about how they were going to monetize and how are they going to stay afloat because you can't stay afloat from VC money all your life. Looking at you, Twitch, and other people who just relied on that backing, and then Twitch went from VC money to Amazon money, and now Amazon's like, all right, the spigot is closed. What are you going to do? And now Twitch has got to cut some fat. But yeah, Discord was looking at monetizing that stuff a while ago, and it sounded like a good idea then. And it seems to be a good idea now, but I think, as Bellular was saying and others are saying, the stuff that's happening is more akin to the pandemic and the irresponsible inflation that everybody, in terms of like hiring and stuff and growth, I think it was a little bit off from what it should have been. I'm pretty sure a lot of the accountants and a lot of the forward-thinking people were like, don't go too far, don't go too far. But we still have to meet this new demand, but we can't go too far. And that's where like contracting sounds, contracting people to do stuff sounds really, really, it sounds impressive and it sounds, that's what I'm looking for, attractive. It sounds attractive to just contract the stuff out because, hey, 6 months contract, if, the growth were to stagnate at some point, then they're on contract and we could just let them go and not renew the contract. But it sounds like these people, Twitch and others, hired employees, when they talk about layoffs and reduction of roles and stuff like that, sometimes they do include contractors and sometimes they don't. I think in this case they may have. Contractors may have been included as a part of that count, that 500. If it wasn't, then that's kind of changes the story. But it's just these growing pains through these big swells and these dips is going to be challenging to navigate through, especially with a bad economy, because you got that swelling growth during that, and now you're followed by a bad economy. So it's kind of hard to bounce back from that gracefully. It's going to be a lot of huge cuts. It's not going to be the last time you see this. Not going to be the last time, which is sad from these companies and more. But having gone through something similar during the dot-com boom, it was a different set of situations, but the outcomes were sort of similar. It's not fun. Everybody going through this, I know what you're going through. It's not fun. It's not fun. And it kind of was a motivating factor for me to change the way I do things and to become, self-employed and not rely on companies because, you wake up every morning, do I have a job? Do I have a job? It's a different kind of stress from, well, am I going to make this quarter? Or am I going to make this month on your self-employed line? It's like a different kind of stress, but I prefer the latter. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you, Baylor, for the video. I'll put the link in the show description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.